Martin, thanks for taking the time to meet with me today. I just wanted to talk to you about a query that's come up. We've had a parent just make contact with the school regarding an assignment that their child completed in your class for English. My name is Selena Kinney and I am from Dominic College in Hobart. I have 3 roles here at this school. I'm Head of Technology and Applied Studies, Curriculum Coordinator for Years 7 to 10 and Director of Teaching and Learning K to 10. In my role as Curriculum Coordinator, one of my responsibilities is to support colleagues, and that can particularly be in the areas of ethical situations and ensuring that they're following through on their professional responsibilities and processes in how we deal with those situations. Today I will be meeting with one of my colleagues, Martin, and we'll be dealing with an issue that has arisen regarding the authenticity of a particular piece of assessment that one of his students has submitted.
So the students were studying a text and the assignment in question was a text response essay that the students had to complete. The student in question submitted the text response essay by the due date, but on correcting the student's work, I've come to the conclusion that the entirety of the work is not her own.
What particular evidence do you have for that?
Okay, I tested all of the students at the start of the year mainly for the purposes of formative assessment tasks, so that I can determine the best way that we go about improving their skills and their learning. And the results from the testing also allied to the results that I got from the school in terms of NAPLAN data and various testing that students have completed throughout their time here at Dominic, that the work that she's presented is not really commensurate with her current standards and her current level of skills. I'd have to say that it's well above her standard of work.
Right.
To the point where it's probably the student is performing at about a C level, and this is at about an A+ level.
Right, okay, so that's a huge difference. Ethically that's a concern because we have to ensure that students are putting up their own work and not the work of others. That's obviously a very important concept, and I'm sure you've probably talked with the class about that before. Can you tell me a bit about how you dealt with this with the student? Because I believe that you met with the student to talk about this issue.
She informed me that she was having trouble with the task, so I spent some extra time with her, and subsequent to that she informed me that she'd taken a tutor who was going to help her with the task. When I received the task, I could see that the ideas were the ideas that I had discussed with the student, but the way that they were phrased, the voice, the tone, the language that she'd used was not her own.
So I understand that you said to her you weren't able to actually assess the work, and you would
That's
like
correct.
her to submit it, in her own words. So you met with her and had a discussion with her about that.
Yep, to that effect, and she basically refused and
Right.
said that no, this was my own work. This is what I'll submit, I won't submit anything else, this is my own work. And I think that's where the issue might have arrived at your doorstep, so to speak.
Okay, so I think we've fulfilled responsibilities in the sense of structuring the task, and giving her lots of support in that and giving her an understanding of the expectations and what is required. So I can see that you've really scaffolded it well with the students, and you're very familiar with the work that she was doing and her ideas and what she was working on. I think there's certainly an issue here in relation to the tutoring and how that has actually affected her, actual assignment that she's submitted. So I think probably our next step is to really bring the parents in and explain this to them so that they have a full understanding of the situation. Today in the meeting with Martin, it was clear to me that he's made sound judgments in the way that he has handled this particular piece of work. I think he's followed due process in meeting with the student and explaining what was required and where the issue is with the work that they've submitted. I feel that in my role as curriculum coordinator, I can now support my colleague Martin and use this evidence as a basis for setting up a meeting and seeing this through to a positive conclusion.
What codes of ethics can teachers in your school draw upon to guide their interactions with others in your school community? In what circumstances have you been required to support colleagues in school and community contexts?